Hi gents, this is the lesson on structure. So if you think you need to work on the structure of your essay, then please watch this one and complete the tasks. As we go through, it would be really useful if you could pause the video at certain times and do certain tasks. I will give you answers after you resume. So yeah, please, as we go through, just pause the video at certain times so you can carry out tasks. So as we said, things you need for this lesson. So there will be work for you to do. You can either do this in your book or on a Google document and submit it. I don't mind at all. And please be aware that you'll need to pause the video at certain times to do some of the activities. Please can you also make sure that you have access to your original essay. You'll find this on the Classroom. It should have been marked and returned to you, as you will need to redraft some sections of this at the end. It could also be useful for you to look at your essay throughout this lesson to see the difference in what you did and what you need to do. As we go through, feel free to take down some notes as well, if that is useful, of the things that you see. So, structure. How should your 12-mark answers be structured? We have been through this in lessons, but just as a reminder, and you can write this down if you like, this is what your structure should look like. So you should have a paragraph for the statement, a paragraph against the statement, another paragraph for, another paragraph against, and a conclusion. As you're aware, timing is tight. So if you find you're running out of time, you can leave out the last paragraph against and to conclude, and then finish with your conclusion. But this is what we are aiming for. Okay, so at the minute, every essay you produce should look like this. In an exam setting, if you're running out of time, I am fine with you leaving out the last paragraph before the conclusion. But when you're doing it at home, you should always have these 4 paragraphs and a conclusion. So what should be in each paragraph? You should have a point to start with, then a piece of evidence, which is a quote. In Christianity, that will be from the Bible. Then an explanation, so explain how your point and evidence link to the question, and then a link, so linking it back to the question. A lot of times people leave out the link. The link is actually really important because what it does is it links everything you've said back to the question, but it also reminds you of what the question is. It keeps you focused on what you're answering. What you find is if people don't put in a link by paragraph 3, they're not talking about the question anymore and they've went off on a tangent. So that link is really important, so you keep thinking about the question. So, first thing that we are going to do is to look at these 2 paragraphs. So this is an identify the issue challenge, and I want you to write down the issue with both of these paragraphs in terms of the structure. So what I'd like you to do is to pause the video here. I'm going to read the paragraphs out to you, but then you can pause the video and have a go at this. After you resume the video, I will tell you the answer, but I'd like you to try and identify this by yourself. So paragraph 1, Christmas is more important than Easter because it remembers the birth of the Saviour. For example, it says in the Bible, today in the town of David, a Saviour has been born to you. This shows that Christmas is important because it is when Jesus was born. Therefore, Christmas is important. Pause the video here. I want you to write down what is the problem with this paragraph. In terms of the structure, what have they not included or what have they done wrong? Okay, I'm going to read the second one now. Same idea. So Christmas is more important than Easter because today in the town of David, a Saviour has been born to you. This shows that Christmas is important because Jesus entered the world. He would go on to save people from their sins. Therefore, Christmas was necessary for Easter to happen. Again, pause the video here and write down what you think the problem with the structure of this paragraph is. Okay, hopefully you have now written down both of your ideas for these paragraphs. If you haven't, please do that now. I'm going to share with you the issue with both of these paragraphs. So if you look at paragraph 1, you will see that the big issue is the explanation and the link. They don't actually add anything else to this paragraph. All that the explanation does is repeat the point. Okay, so that last two sentences, there's no point to it. It's a waste of time writing it down. Your explanation needs to actually explain how that answers the question, how it links to the question. Second paragraph, you will see, and some of you did this in your answers, that the evidence and the point are combined. If I read that, it doesn't really make sense. So Christmas is more important than Easter because today in the town of David, a Saviour has been born to you. That doesn't tell me why Christmas is more important than Easter. Yes, it is religious teaching. It's evidence. Great that you've learned that. That's great. But that is your evidence. That goes on the next line in a separate sentence. You need a clear point to explain why Christmas is more important than Easter. Okay, now we're going to move on to look at two examples of really good paragraphs. So these are example paragraphs, and what I want you to do is to work through and look at where the point, evidence, explanation and link is in these paragraphs. So if you want to pause it, you can write down where that is in each paragraph. So I'm going to read through this for you. I want you to highlight or record where the key parts of the paragraph is and to write down what's good about each paragraph. So paragraph number 1, Christmas is more important than Easter because it remembers the birth of the Saviour. For example, it says in the Bible, today in the town of David, a Saviour has been born to you. This shows that Christmas was significant because it was when the Saviour of the world was to be born. Christmas had to happen in order for Easter to happen later, ensuring that it's more significant for Christians. Okay, so pause the video here, work out where each part of the paragraph starts and finishes, and then write down what is good about this paragraph. Okay, now I'm moving on to paragraph 2. Easter is more important than Christmas because it displays God's power. For example, in the Bible it states, He is risen. This shows that Easter ultimately displays that God has power over death. While Christmas brings joy into the world, it does not reveal the ultimate power of God. Therefore, Easter is more important for Christians. Okay, same again. Pause the video here. Where are the 4 different parts of this answer? And what is good about this paragraph? Okay, I'm now going to show you how I would split this paragraph up. So if you look at the highlighted sections, it shows you the point, the evidence, the explanation, and the link. As you can see, you can pause it here and look at this in more detail if you like, but as you can see, the explanation is the longest part of this paragraph. That should always be the case. Your explanation should be the longest in every paragraph you write because you're explaining why it's important, how it links to the question, right? This is an evaluation question. They're not looking for you to just reel off loads and loads of quotes. They're interested in how you think. So how does that justify your point? Why is that the case? Okay. Then we're moving on to your final task today. And what I want you to do is to redraft your answer and to submit it here on the classroom. This might not take you very long. You can copy and paste what you've already done. But what I want you to do is to make sure that in each paragraph, you're following this structure, this point, evidence, explanation, link structure, and that you have 4 clear paragraphs before your conclusion. For some of you, that might mean going through and adding a clear point in each paragraph. For some, it might be the case of adding full sentences. So when you're writing your evidence, don't just put the quote. Say, for example, in the Bible it says, remember, use full sentences. You might need to go through and think about your explanations, but in general, this shouldn't take you very long. You've already thought through your answer. You've already formed some basic points. So this is where you go through and add in the structure and add some more detail. Okay, I will have a look at these and give you some comments. Please do email me if you have any questions, but hopefully this will help you to restructure your answer.